Hey Aquarius, what's going on? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is King of Wands. And the Emperor. And Knight of Wands. And the Fool on the bottom of the deck. Okay. I feel like you really got it together here. You could be looking at the bigger picture. You could be looking at the bigger plan. I feel very much like you're taking action appropriately, like you're on track. Yeah, seeing the bigger picture. This feels like some substantial goals that you have, and there can be some building that you're doing as well, an action that you're taking that's supporting this vision that you have. This feels to me like the opposite of being lost. So whatever that would be, feels like you have an idea of what you're doing here, you're on track with things, it feels like you're showing up appropriately, it feels like you have like a good concept, a good understanding of where you are, and I think especially your place within all of this. This feels like having a sense of purpose, everything looks like it's moving forward. You can be trying something new as well, that can be a little bit of a part of this. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but that can be a part of this. Okay. I'm seeing Ten of Swords come out, but I'm seeing it come out reversed. So you could have thought that something was ending. That can be being undone a bit here, actually. So the cards came out like this. So this is the Ten of Swords coming out reversed. And then we also have Five of Pentacles and we have Ace of Swords. This feels like something here is being like a revival. There can be an undoing that's happening. It kind of feels like something is being rebuilt, but you may not have all of the rebuilding material in front of you yet. It's like this idea that you have to be doing this, and I feel like there's an intention to do it. I also feel like some hard time is becoming over now, like it's finishing. There could have been some type of false ending as well, like something that maybe you thought it was going to be one way, but then it flips around and it turns a different way, and it could have left you grappling in the aftermath. But then I'm seeing there be a breaking out of that, a breaking through this. I even feel like things have been cleared up now. In the aftermath of something happening, it feels like there was a little bit of a decomposition, but then I'm seeing breaking out of that. So it doesn't look like that's the situation anymore. It feels like something else is going on now. You definitely do know your place within this. I'm seeing High Priestess sliding under King of Wands. I'm also seeing Nine of Wands. I think you staying intact and connected with yourself is going to be maybe the most challenging part of this. Sort of moving through this intuitively, but not losing that. Specifically, what I'm seeing go on here is that when we have the energy of the High Priestess, because this is an energy of tapping in and tuning in to what's going on, if there's ever an ounce of anxiety or fear that comes in, it can be something that messes with you and messes with your insight. And so there's always going to have to be a grounding that's happening, or making sure that you're clearing the energy to make sure that you're in a clear space. It's like the higher up you go, the more difficult it can be to balance, and so some more effort has to be put into that until you have acclimated to being at that height. And you're sort of climbing that hill right now in the process of this. I feel like you are being challenged emotionally currently. You can be being challenged intuitively. Even though I'm seeing you be all for what's going on and sort of game for what's going on, I think that you simultaneously being totally present to this and also building what you're attempting to build here, to grow what you're attempting to grow here, this can be the part that's hard, that balance between what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what you're tuning into and where I think you're even getting your information from, like where you're logging in, and then also the action that's being taken and how this is supporting what's going on, like the feelings that you get, how that guides you through the actions that you take, and they're being followed through with the actions that you're taking, so it can build what you want through you connecting with the guidance that you have when you tap into the energy of the High Priestess, which is that divine wisdom within you, and feeling like you have a project here, you have something that you're working on. I feel like you know that you're taking on a lot by doing this. You know that this isn't the most simplistic process. Nonetheless, I'm seeing you look pretty confident about this. I don't really see this being an issue. I think that even as knowledgeable as you are, even as advanced as you are, this is still going to be challenging for you. I think maybe to keep your sense of direction here, maybe also to keep your stride. I only think that it's going to be challenging at times, which is not meant to be a deterrent. It's just to give you a realistic expectation of this. I think the reason why is because this feels like a big thing that you have going on, and so there will be challenges, but if you just do one foot in front of the other, it's not going to be too much. You got this. Over here, I get the sense of something going on that you could have felt bruised by, but then I'm not seeing you be in that space anymore. So something did happen and it had a real effect on you. And then there's that working to alleviate yourself of that, working to sort of come out of that. Like you got put into a box somewhere, like locked in somewhere. And then there's the breaking free of that, breaking out of that. But it could have left you down bad in a way with the Five of Pentacles. Just to acknowledge that that's being seen, I think, more than anything. Not to dwell on it, but just to acknowledge that that was going on for a time. Even though now I'm seeing something else be happening. Like, I'm not seeing you be caged in by that anymore. And I feel like your regard and resolution feeling strong, like... It's so weird to try to communicate things sometimes that I'm seeing, because I feel like if I could transfer an image to you, it would be so much easier, like a concept to you. But to have to try to articulate what I'm getting from this, I'm seeing with this Ace of Swords, it's kind of like, if you could imagine our brains when we're kind of lost, foggy, fragmented, not being as strong, versus something looks like it all came together. Like maybe even before something felt like it was fragmented or like shattered. With this Ace of Swords, I feel like everything came back together and it's very strong. It's a very solid structure. Even like that process of, the process where there's this art form where if a glass breaks, like cups and whatnot, that the pieces are put together and it's bonded by gold. I'm sure there's like more to it than that. It starts with a K, I'm pretty sure what the process is. I can't remember the name of it. But what happens is that you have basically like a glass cup, right, that you drink tea from or something, and then it breaks. And then in order to put it back, it's bonded with gold, an alloy, something of that nature, and then it's said to be even stronger. I feel like something like that happened, and it feels like it was going on an energetic and mental level, and now I'm seeing this thing come back where it feels like it's stronger than it was before. So something could have really broken down, but then I'm seeing as it came back together, something be even stronger than it was before. So this just like reinforced something to come together. I do get the sense of you leveling up. I feel like this is something you're going to be aware of more on a level of feeling, though. Like your awareness is leveling up. Your feeling as you move through this is evolving. And it can be something that you notice based off of the way that you're feeling. That's how you're going to be able to tell about this. And all of the learning that's doing in the process. Okay. As this thing is coming back together, because I do see something was... I feel like something almost like crashed and burned, but now in some way it's being undone. That the cup fell all apart. It crashed on the floor. It broke into a bunch of pieces. It's in the process of being put back together. The potential of this is that it can be even stronger than it was initially. I think best case scenario, which I do see as being possible here. This is going to be a learning process. Just one step at a time. I feel this sense of knowing that you're taking on something big. Don't overwhelm yourself. This is a big thing. It's like a big project that you have going on in your life right now. Something that you have to sort of stay on top of is the sense that I get from this. And you have to constantly be looking around. It feels like constantly there has to be an intake of information as you move through this. So you have to be on in that way, like bright lights. What I'm seeing is that this is something that you can know is a big thing that you're taking on within your life. Because of that, if you can look at the whole thing, know potentially where this can go. When it comes to you taking the actual steps, just one foot in front of the other, and it will be done, it will be completed. This is something that's going to be a process. This is not something that's going to be immediately started and finished or begun and then completed. This is going to take some time. I feel like there's an awareness of that. Pace yourself because this is going to take time. When that creation is happening of those pieces being bonded back together, it takes time to do that. It takes precision to do that. It's a whole process. It's a multi-step process that happens. Because of that, there can be a part of you that feels unsure about things, maybe even doubtful, but I feel like this is because of feeling worse for wear after the initial break happened. Like if a break didn't happen and you were going through this process, I don't think that the Five of Pentacles would be here. I don't think that feeling of kind of being knocked around already would be there. However, I do feel like it's here just because you're going through some type of process that I feel like touches that spot for you moving through this. But that's also something that's temporary. It's just part of this process, but it won't stay feeling like that. So I think if you can know that and move through it, it can be something that you will feel like you can stand up straight again in a way where you may not totally feel like that right now. Like something can feel a little, like maybe even there being an anticipation of something happening. I almost see like a shrinking down that's going on, almost like a preparing for something. But I feel like if like another break doesn't end up happening, which is very possible here, everything can just stay together and be stronger for it. That is the plan anyway. I do feel like this is kind of touch and go as it is. It's one of those processes where you can't just decide everything now. You have to take a step, look around, see what's going on, make an assessment. Take another step, look around, see what's going on, make an assessment. Take another step, look around. It's just going to be, it feels like that repeatedly. And I feel like this is challenging for you intuitively and emotionally. At the same time, I feel like you're in a very clear space with yourself. And that feels important. Like maybe there's a part of you that wants to hit the ground running, but you can't totally do that within this. And so you can be figuring out what to do with that energy. Because I feel this like wanting to move fast, like wanting to put the pieces back together really quickly. But Temperance is saying, don't do that. That's not what's being advised here. You have to take your time. But because of that being a natural drive within you, with the Knight of Wands, you're going to have to find a good way to channel this so it does not disturb the process. And I think this is about tempering that aspect of your own energy. You know, like if a process takes time because it takes precision and it's kind of touch and go, it's the difference between using a type of paint that takes a long time to dry. This is a project where the paint takes a long time to dry. So you have to wait in between steps for it to dry, or you could be impatient and not wait, and then the whole thing is going to get muddied and it's not going to come out the way that you want it to. So this is something where you have to go step by step and honor that part of the process. It may not be the way that you prefer to move through things. However, you need to adjust because that's what's needed for this situation if you want to get the best outcome. Because something is in the process of turning around here. The part of you that may want to disappear within all of this feels like it's just the after effect of that initial break happening. And you can just need time to recover emotionally from that. Of having that thing happen where like it does feel unfortunate, maybe it didn't need to be like that, it happened, I'm coming to terms with it. And this is my process of coming back to myself. Yeah, that's the thing that I get from this Five of Pentacles, kind of like an unfortunate circumstance that happened, or however else you want to label it as. And it could have been something that maybe like didn't have to happen, but it did happen. And so now there's the sort of dealing with that, being part of this. But there can be just a part of you that needs to recover, I think, from what has gone on. So you may not be feeling 100% like yourself, maybe on an emotional level. Everything does feel like it's fitting back into place though, so. Slow and steady here. That's what's being advised. When you go through something that's rough and it hits you in places that feel vulnerable, it takes a little bit to come back from that. Clarity comes the more you look around. each step you take, you can look around more. I do see that this is, I think, like somewhat of a new chapter within a chapter. I do see you being in a space that looks relatively clear as far as I can see. I feel like you know what you're doing, you know what's going on. This is something that's going to take some time. You're working with yourself and the way that you feel as you move through this, dealing with the circumstance. It may not be like particularly, okay, you have the cup, right? We expect that it's just going to stay a cup and do what it's supposed to be doing. The cup falls and it breaks. And that is really what I feel like when I see the Five of Pentacles and the Four of Cups, is this, like, I don't really like that this is going on. This is not an ideal circumstance. This was my favorite cup. I wanted to be able to use it. I'm sort of coming to terms with the fact that this is what's going on here. I'm not saying that I'm going to throw the cup away. I'm going to do that process of recovering it so it can work again. There's a part of me that feels like, you know, when you go through something and it feels kind of like a shock of going through that thing, like that cup breaking, when that wasn't just, you don't expect that to happen. You know that it can happen, but you don't expect it to happen. And then it does. And so it's like all of the feelings that are connected with that, the weight of going through that, of just the natural, I think, human process of everything we feel that's connected with that. That's what you're going through right now. And you can be having your doubts about this. You're looking it up, how to get the cup back together and what you need to do for the pieces to prepare it. And is it going to work? Like, am I going to bomb this? Is it going to be something that actually, is it going to turn out as I'm hoping for it to? I know that the best case scenario is that this ends up being stronger than it ever was before. At the same time, is that actually what's going to happen? I don't totally know what I'm doing here. You know, you don't, it's going through that part of things where you're figuring stuff out. So that whole ambiguity of the process can be something that just feels a bit like, it's not like a blank canvas and you know you're going to throw paint on it. It's like you think, you don't imagine that the cup is going to break, and then it does, and then you have to do what you have to do because you've been sent on like a side quest now to have to do this thing, if you're willing to, which it seems like you are. And it's like, if this turns out great, you'll be happy that you did this. If it doesn't, then you'll have maybe other feelings about it. Maybe you'll still be happy that you did it, but you just don't know. And so I think that part of going through a process where you can feel unsure, I feel like the outcome is not assured either. There can be just a part of you that can almost want to leave, and you sort of have to pull yourself back in, and then wants to disappear, and you sort of have to pull yourself back in, and just like work with that part of yourself that's like looking at it and being like, this is never going to work, or like maybe I'm feeling happy about it today, or then maybe I feel frustrated because I need a piece of information and I have to go and find it, and I hope that I find the information that I need. It's that whole thing of moving through this. This is what the process entails. So feel like if you stick, for right now, it just seems like you're meant to be doing this. This is where you're meant to be. You may be looking for like a bigger answer than that, possibly. But I feel like that has to be an answer enough that like this is what's happening. You're responding to this situation, and that's just what's appropriate for now. This is the thing to be doing for now. And having Temperance there, I feel very much is just reinforcing that. And also too, as things progress, you're going to see where the turnout is going. So you're not going to be staying in this reconstruction phase forever. It's just part of the process right now, and I feel even like if you can just get through this, things are going to end up being more smooth thereafter. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.